Ask your questions and express your opinions from around your block to around the world. The Art Lewis Show is on 100.5 and 790 WSGW and online, WSGW.com. The Art Lewis Show is presented by Westside Decorating Center.
Good morning and welcome to the Art Lewis Show. The Art Lewis Show is presented by Westside Decorating Center. Visit them at 5789 State Street in Saginaw or online at westsidedecoratingcenter.com. And as I'm sure you listeners have guessed, this is not guessed at this point, this is not Art Lewis. This is Matt Felan. I was called in emergency relief this morning. Art's birthday was yesterday, and he woke up with a little bit of a head cold here today. So coming in to fill in for him. But I love starting the show by talking about Westside Decorating Center. I have been in there frequently over the course of the past year. We wallpapered the dining room and have fallen in love with the store and the staff and their offerings. So when you have a chance, go visit them at 5789 State Street. So before we get started, Jonathan Dent, I have a couple things I just need to say to you to really start today's show. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you holding on to something?
I'm getting more and more nervous. Just out with it.
Okay, are you ready? Just so you know, I'm never going to give you up. I'm never going to let you down. I'm never going to run around and desert you.
Yep.
I'm never going to make you cry. I'm never going to say goodbye. I'm never going to tell a lie and hurt you. Do you feel better knowing that now?
Oh, I feel so much more reassured.
So if you guys were listening to the morning show, Jonathan apparently does not like Rick Astley. He does not care that it's Rick's 59th birthday. You seem like your day got worse. You know there's a version that plays for 24 straight hours, correct?
Yeah.
How can you dislike that? That's the greatest song ever.
It's for someone my age to hear that song, it is someone got one over on you. That's what it feels like.
Are you a Ted Lasso watcher at all?
No.
We got to fix that because it's one of the best shows ever. But there's an episode where that song becomes like a key part of the episode. And it's kind of an emotional episode. It's funny, but it's emotional too. And it plays just a tremendous role. And it's phenomenal. So the only thing that I will do for you, and our guest this morning is Mike Kelly with the Conservation Fund. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
You guys were both lucky because as I heard Jonathan complaining about Rick Astley, and I love Rick Astley. It's so bad that he's on my playlist. Like, I'm a fan. The only debate I had, Mike, was I going to read that or was I going to sing it?
I'm disappointed. I thought you were going to sing it. And I will tell you, starting the show off with Rick Astley, it's I'm sad that I'm your guest because it's going to be nothing but downhill from there. So I'm also a Rick Astley fan. So.
Attaboy, Mike. You know what that really is? That shows your age and my age and Jonathan's age, to be frank, more than it does anything else. So, well, Mike, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
And for our listeners, I'm going to give full disclosure. Mike, Kelly, and I ended our night together last night. Mm-hmm. We started our day together today. And so everyone knows exactly what that means. We happen to be school board members together in Bay City. It just, by circumstance and by the universe's will, they've decided that, you know what, Mike, you got to deal with me here again this morning.
Right on. Glad to be here.
I love it. So, hey, before we get into some of the main items that we really want to talk about, we're going to talk about the Reef Project out in the Bay. Yep. I just think it's great to talk about the Conservation Fund. Your background and who you are and what the Conservation Fund does and where you're housed at SVSU and who's involved with the project. Sure. You're like the James Bond of the conservation community. You kind of have this cool role where you're working on a lot of different things. Can you really talk about the bigger picture work that you do?
Yeah, so the Conservation Fund is a national nonprofit organization. We're headquartered out of the Washington, D.C. metro area in Arlington, Virginia. And I've worked for the Conservation Fund for 25 years, actually, this month. And we do a lot of work around the country, most of which is real estate related. So we do a lot of land acquisition projects on behalf of state and federal governments, and do a lot of large scale landscape level conservation work throughout the country. But in certain offices, we do not only real estate, but other very project focused initiatives. And one of those is our Saginaw Bay Watershed Initiative Network program here in the Saginaw Bay area, where we raise funds from a number of great partners in our area that have stuck with us for a couple of decades. We raise funds from them and then re-grant those funds for a number of projects, one of which we're going to talk about today, the Corian Reef restoration, but really projects that have environmental, economic, and community implications to them. So we do a lot of rail trail projects. We do a lot of wetland restorations. We've done a lot of dam removal projects, and then just a wide variety, really kind of an eclectic mix of projects that we've accomplished over the past couple of decades in this area.
And who are your kind of some of your key community partners here in the region on that work?
Yeah, so from the very beginning, Dow has been a key partner of ours. They support a lot of our work, invest heavily in our back office operations. But Herbert H. and Grace A. Dow Foundation, Gerstacker Foundation, the Cook Family Foundation, a number of other corporate Consumers Energy, a number of other partners that we work closely with, and they've stuck with the program for a couple of decades because we're really making some good impact. A lot of the dollars that we invest in projects are then used as match against state and federal funds, where communities might not have those dollars to put in new access sites. We worked on a project just recently on the Caucalan River here in the neighborhood, Stye Park, the renovations there, where we provided some initial funding, and then Monitor Township went after a state grant and used our dollars as the local match, which was required. So we've been able to invest, somewhere around $6 million over the past couple of decades, but then leverage probably about $25 million in other funding that, in all likelihood, maybe wouldn't have come to this area if not for those dollars that we're providing to match against the state and federal funds.
Yeah, that is such an important part of work we do here in this region, is our ability to go and garner state and federal dollars, match dollars, etc. Those just don't generally fall into your lap. That's work that has to be done, relationships, a lot of applications, a lot of storytelling, a lot that has to happen to that. That's incredibly important work. One of the things you brought up, though, I'd love for you to talk about this a notch more for our listeners, because sometimes I think people underestimate how substantial the Saginaw Bay watershed is. Can you talk about, kind of holistically, how big is the Saginaw Bay watershed? Kind of where does it start? Where does it end? What all does it encompass? Because I think people underestimate how big that watershed is.
Yeah, and I think to start with, I mean, people have to have an understanding of what a watershed is, and so that's all of the land area that drains into a certain body of water. So in this case, the Saginaw Bay watershed. We're talking about 22 counties. So as far north as Tawas, as far west as almost Big Rapids, and then all the way down into Oakland County. So there's 7,000 miles of rivers that drain into the Saginaw Bay.
That's astounding.
Eventually.
Say that again. 7,000 miles.
So you think about some of the larger rivers. So obviously the Flint River, Tittabawassee River, Cass, Shiawassee, the ones that are major rivers in these communities. But you have lots of other rivers. Sturgeon Creek that drains into the Tittabawassee River, Thread Creek that drains into the Flint River, Swan Creek that drains into the Cass. So you have a lot of streams that eventually work their way out to Saginaw Bay. And what we've found over time is that the farther you get away from Saginaw Bay, the less you have a relationship to it. But everybody has a relationship with the river that runs through their little town. So if it's the Caucalan River, or if it's the like I said, Thread Creek or Swan Creek, or some of these others, everybody has a relationship with their local river. But people also need to understand that their local river, everything flows downstream, right? And eventually everything that goes into those rivers ends up in Saginaw Bay. So it's a big area. It's the largest watershed in the state, about 8,000 square miles. And a lot of cities there, big cities and small cities. So Bay City, Saginaw, Flint, Midland, Pinconning, Omer, as far west as Mount Pleasant. So it's lots of it's a major land area.
The folks in Omer are celebrating now.
Absolutely.
They have officially been deemed a big city on the radio.
Right on.
It is going to be a massive party up at the Sucker Festival this year, as they now know Bay City, Saginaw, Midland, Mount Pleasant, Flint, Omer.
Right
you
on.
guys heard it. Mike
Absolutely.
Kelly has put Omer on the map. I love it. One of the stories that I love about just the substantial nature of the watershed was when the dams broke through Midland County and Gladwin County, and everyone for a hot second, now they knew there was going to be a massive problem in Midland when Sanford Dam went. Everyone kind of knew Midland's going to bear the brunt of this, but it was amazing when I heard this. I'm like, wow. I mean, I remember Carl Geiger was on Facebook Live, and he was literally on Sanford Lake, and you could see like a mobile home go by, and you could see a house go by and a shed, and you could see all these giant things coming through. And everyone started to panic of, hey, what's going to happen when that has to come through Saginaw and Bay City and out into the bay, and what's this going to mean? And people didn't know that we had some gifts of the watershed that were able to handle that volume of water. Can you talk about what happened and how really Saginaw and Bay were spared versus the other areas, and kind of how the watershed naturally was able to absorb that?
Yeah, so several of these rivers in our region come together at the Shiawassee Flats. So that's a combination. That's a 20,000 acre complex that's made up of Shiawassee National Wildlife Refuge and then the Shiawassee State Game Area. And those areas have been undergoing for years restoration projects. For example, there was just recently a 1,000 acre restoration project that took place at the Shiawassee National Wildlife Refuge that we were involved in. Our Saginaw Bay Wind Program was involved in. And that 1,000 acre restoration site was opened and it allowed water to flow from the Tittabawassee River into that area and slow that water down. So that 1,000 acre restoration site, that 1,000 acre wetland, held about 12 feet of water over 1,000 acres, which was substantially about the size of Sanford Lake. And so it held that much capacity and let that water drain off slowly to Bay City and Saginaw downstream. So these natural areas, this green infrastructure, if you will, that allows opportunity to slow that water down, to collect that water and let it drain off over time, was certainly impactful to the downstream areas. Without that, I think that Saginaw and Bay City would have had much larger problems than they did.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. Yeah. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about that Korean reef.
Want to help your child shape their future? Join the Bay Aranac ISD Career Center for their open house on Thursday, February 13th from 4 till 7 p.m. Explore programs with hands-on training and speak with local labor organizations about apprenticeship opportunities for high school students. Students can uncover career opportunities they might never have considered, opening doors to pursue their passions in unexpected directions. Don't miss this chance to shape their future. Visit the Bay Aranac ISD Career Center Thursday, February 13th from 4 till 7 p.m.
If you look close enough, you can see the hidden potential within your fields. That's why an AgroLiquid nutrition plan starts with the crop and identifies the precise combination of primary nutrients while focusing on the support of secondary and micronutrients. So every nutrient is working in harmony for your crop to reach its full potential, maximizing growth while offering lower use rates. Apply less, expect more? Precisely. Find an AgroLiquid dealer at agroliquid.com.
Farmers deserve nothing less than the best to keep their operations growing. We've believed that since opening our doors over 40 years ago. At AgroLiquid, our team of experts work with you to formulate a nutrition program that connects your fertilizer needs with your cropping goals, merging agronomy with economics on your farm. Get solid agronomic advice and positive results that'll make you a return on your fertilizer investment. Find your crop nutrition expert at agroliquid.com.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
There was little change in the number of people signing up for unemployment benefits last week. New claims rose by 11,000 to 219,000. Economists were predicting 213,000. Continuing claims, those remaining on benefits rose to 1.88 million. Outplacement firm Challenger Gray & Christmas is reporting job cuts down 40% in January from a year ago, but it doesn't see the trend holding because some companies have already announced job cuts in February. The monthly employment report is released tomorrow. Honeywell says it will split into 3 separate businesses. Its recent quarter was upbeat, but the stock is down 3%. Peloton shares up 13% after reporting a smaller loss in the recent quarter. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
We could all use more time. Amazon Business offers smart business buying solutions so you can spend more time growing your business and less time doing the admin. I can see why they call it smart. Learn more at AmazonBusiness.com.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Good morning and welcome back to the Art Lewis Show. It's Matt Felan with the Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance here filling in for Art today. And I'm with Mike Kelly from the Conservation Fund, and we're talking about all things Saginaw Bay watershed related. And if I'm not mistaken, not this Saturday, but a week from Saturday, you're going to be speaking in Bay City on behalf of the Saginaw River Marine Historical Society about the Coreyon Reef Project and kind of the status of that project and where it is. But before we get into that, can you talk about, go back in time? How did this reef project come to be? How long did it take to really make a reality? If you talk about the history of that, I think a lot of listeners hear reef and our minds immediately go somewhere tropical, and we're going to go snorkeling and then go to an island and have a drink with a fun umbrella in it. That's the reef we think of. You're telling me there's a reef out in the Saginaw Bay that we need to be aware of?
Yeah, not quite like New Zealand or Australia, something like that. But to give you a sense of where this came from, the Saginaw Bay fishery is about worth about $30 million a year. And the prize fish, as most people know, are walleye. And what we determined, and when I say we, this is a broad partnership of folks between the Conservation Fund, the DNR, the EPA, the Fish and Wildlife Service. What we learned is that about 70% or more of the walleye that are spawning in the system spawn in the Tittabawassee River. And so we learned that probably 35 or 40 years ago. And over time, we knew that wasn't a healthy thing for the system, that there needs to be other places for these fish to spawn. And so given that, we've been able to work on dam removals at Frankenmuth, dam removals at Chesaning and some other areas to give these fish opportunities to spawn up in these other rivers that are important. And typically the best spawning areas have been beyond the existing dams. But really, one of the most important spawning areas for fish in Saginaw Bay were these historic reefs that were there that over time had been silted over because of poor land use practices, really. And so we started thinking about, is there an opportunity to rebuild a reef out in Saginaw Bay? And we did a lot of research and decided that we identified a site off of Essexville, and it's not right on the beach in Essexville. It's about 11 miles out, where we do an experiment. And this was the creation of a reef that mimicked in large part the glacial till and the aggregate that was there that got silted over. So there were these reefs out there originally, and we went back to the areas where these were and began to restore them.
Mike, what were the reefs composed of? Like, what was the product that was the reef?
Yeah, largely granite. These were, if you think way back millions of years ago, as the glaciers came in, the glaciers pushed and dug the lakes. But then on the edges of the lakes, as the glaciers were moving through, they left this aggregate. And so when we talk about reefs in Saginaw Bay, yeah, we're not talking about the Great Barrier barrier reef. What
we're not talking coral.
We're not talking coral.
Granite.
Right. We're talking, talking rock, and so the reef restoration project that we did out there is about the size of 2 football fields. And it's about 4 or 5 feet tall. From the bottom of Lake Huron, bottom of Saginaw Bay, and what it is, these aggregate, these rocks are about the size, maybe the size of a softball. And what they do when you pile them up is they create what they call interstitial space. So these are the spaces between the rocks where fish can lay their eggs and be somewhat protected from predators. And so that was a project that we did back in 2019. We provided some initial funding through our WIN program, and then we're lucky enough to receive about $1 million in federal funding for the project. And so it's been out there for a few years now. It's heavily studied by various universities, and it's proving to be a success. So we're glad to build some diversity in habitat. We have walleye spawning on it now. We have whitefish spawning on it now. So just another way to build some resiliency in the fish population and give these fish other places, other habitats to spawn.
It's an amazing story. So first of all, the construction of it. Are you talking like, hey, ships had to come in and throw aggregate down, and then barges had to come out and literally take giant pieces of equipment and slowly put that together and build the reef out there?
That's exactly the way it was. We brought in aggregate from 2 sources, one in Alpena, one in the Thumb, and all of that aggregate was delivered to Wurtstone Dock in Bay City. We had a contractor with several barges. They worked for about a month, 24 hours a day, loading up rock and taking it out in Saginaw Bay with a crane system and built it. We were lucky enough. One of the things that we wanted to do as part of the project, because it's not every day that we get $1 million federal grant here and then build something that nobody can see. And so we filmed a documentary at the same time, and that's what we're going to be showing at the meeting coming up here with the Saginaw River Marine Historical Society next week. So it's about a 15-minute documentary that gives the detail from genesis of the idea all the way through the construction of the project.
Absolutely amazing. So it's not gonna be the first time that I've sounded really dumb to you, and it's not gonna be the last. But I have to ask the question because I'm just curious. How do you go and tell that this is working? How's that done? Like, are there divers down there? Are cameras down there? Like, how do you go through and ask yourself, gee, are the fish going between the softball size rocks and laying the eggs? And is it working as a habitat? Like, how do you find the proof point on that? Because to me, that's fascinating. Like, can you and I go in a little yellow submarine and go down there and check it out? Like, how does this work, Mike? Because it sounds fascinating.
We've done everything but put a submarine down there. So we've had divers down there. We have oxygen meters on the reef because dissolved oxygen in water is important. And we want to make sure that and honestly, there was a lot of research that was done before the reef was placed and the location was decided for the reef. But truly, one of the most interesting parts of this is that we use something very sophisticated. It's called a concrete block with a furnace filter wrapped around it. And so when you think of some of the hard science, you think this must be an expensive project, and it is. But the equipment that we use is largely things that you can pick up at Home Depot. And we put these egg mats on the reef, and as fish are laying eggs, eggs will travel in the water column, the eggs that are not in the interstitial space between the rocks, and get caught on these furnace filter instruments, and we pull those up. When I say we, the researchers pull these up and pick through them and find the eggs, and can find, we've been finding lots of different eggs, perch eggs, walleye eggs, whitefish eggs. And we've had divers down there too. So cameras, small submarines, not submarines that people are in, but remote submarines to go down and take a look at it. So all of the above. It's been a major research project, I think, that's been looked at from across the country, because these things can be done in other areas too. So this is something that puts Saginaw Bay on the map a little bit as being a leader, kind of cutting edge in developing habitat like this.
Fascinating. So this spring, me, you, and Art, we're going to go down there and we're going to dive. We're going to go check it out firsthand.
We'll do it. Let's make it happen.
Man, Jonathan, that would be quite the sight, wouldn't it? We're going to take a break, folks. We're going to be back with Mike Kelly from the Conservation Fund.
The Sawmill Pub and Grill is open again. We've been busy updating our look and are excited for you to see it. Our winter hours are Wednesday through Sunday, 11:30 to 8, and open later on Fridays and Saturdays. Don't forget our famous Fish Fry Fridays. We also have lunch specials every day from 11:30 until 3, and happy hour specials from 2 to 4 and 7 to close. The Sawmill Pub and Grill, located at 19 Sawmill Boulevard. See you at the Sawmill.
Art Lewis here at Quick Lane Freeland, next to my car dealer, McDonald Ford. Quick Lane Freeland is a one-stop shop for all your oil changes, brakes, tires, batteries, and they work on Chevys, Fords, Toyotas, Hondas, Jeep, Dodges, all makes and models to keep your car or truck in good shape. And by the way, speaking of tires, they are selling new tires for just $5 over cost. You can't do any better than that. Brand names like Michelin, Goodyear, and BF Goodrich, plus an additional $60 to $100 in rebates. Extra for installation includes balancing and lifetime tire repairs. Enjoy our customer lounge with internet and free ice cream bars at Quick Lane Freeland next to McDonald Ford, where again they work on all makes and models of cars and trucks. They want to keep your vehicle in tip-top shape at Quick Lane Freeland next to McDonald Ford.
Welcome to retirement. Now, replace your paycheck. To local financial coach Kevin Ray, this is what retirement planning is all about.
Building monthly paychecks. And how you build those monthly paychecks is going to determine how well in retirement you're going to enjoy it. So sit down and build a good framework, and it starts with income.
So build your framework with Kevin and the team at Insight Folios today by calling 888-885-PLAN. That's 888-885-7526.
Get organized with a new Dakota closet system at Menards. Dakota closets are versatile and can be installed in any room, from home offices and laundry rooms to walk-in or reach-in closets, and so much more. Use the You Create Closet Planner, available in-store or online, to design a Dakota closet system that maximizes your space and matches your style. Don't forget to check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Give the star in your life the brightest gift in the world. Name a star after them. This is Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For $59 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, you can name a star for birthdays, weddings, or even memorials. Over 45 years, we have named millions of stars for celebrities and individuals from around the world. The star you name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Visit starregistry.com or call 800-282-3333.
1 in 4 Americans today are living with a disability. I'm one of them. I care deeply about creating a world we can all fully participate in, free from stigma, misperceptions, and barriers. And we've got a trusted ally on our side, an organization we can rely on, Easter Seals. Rooted in communities nationwide, Easter Seals helps empower millions of people, regardless of age or disability, through its life-changing services and powerful advocacy. Today and every day, Easter Seals is leading the way to full equity, inclusion, and access to healthcare, employment, and education for people with disabilities, families, and communities. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours.
Learn more and get involved at easterseals.com.
News coverage.
I just saw a fireball and then it was just gone. It was a CRJ and a helicopter that hit.
Displaced Palestinians began flooding back north this morning.
A judge has put on hold the Trump plan to freeze most federal funding.
Gustavo Petro said Sunday he wouldn't accept U.S. military deportation flights.
News.
A state police trooper suffered minor injuries during a crash investigation.
Area lawmakers are calling on Governor Gretchen Whitmer to fill the state's 35th District Senate.
News coverage on WSGW. From the Stormmaster Exterior Studios, you are listening to 100.5 FM and 790 AM. And from Stormmaster Exteriors, you are listening online at WSGW.com.
Good morning and welcome back to the Art Lewis Show. It's Matt Felan with the Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance, and I'm here with Mike Kelly from the Conservation Fund this morning, and we're talking about some things that I love in terms of the Saginaw Bay Watershed, the work of the Conservation Fund, land management, the watershed. But let's talk a little bit more about Saginaw Bay, because years ago, I used to write a monthly article for Great Lakes Bay magazine. And one time I literally just kind of penned a love letter to the Saginaw Bay. I'm not even lying, just how important the Saginaw Bay is to our region, what it means. And for those of you that are listening, they call it Bay Bay. That is acceptable as well. The Saginaw Bay is such an important piece to our region for a variety of factors, whether it be our ability to bring products and goods in and out through the bay and the Saginaw River, what it means from a fishing perspective, what it means from a wildlife perspective, from a conservation perspective. It is a huge part of the state of Michigan and who we are. But as we kind of talk about it, sometimes I feel like they're so much more focused on Thunder Bay or Grand Traverse Bay or other pieces of water. Do you just kind of agree with my sentiment that a lot of folks across the state don't really realize the economic and environmental importance of the Saginaw Bay?
Yeah, I think often Saginaw Bay itself is overlooked. When you think about tourism in Michigan, I think that a lot of folks immediately think of Traverse City, Saugatuck, some of these areas that are on the Lake Michigan side. But Saginaw Bay economically is so important to this area, and does promote tourism. It is a destination. You think about fishing. I mentioned earlier, it's a $30 million recreational fishery. So it's been something that, and that's been stable. It's one of the best walleye fisheries in the country. Duck hunting is important on Saginaw Bay. People come from all over the country to duck hunt there, as well as fish. Recreationally, for boaters, it's a prime area for that. But certainly, and when you think about Bay and you think about the river systems that drain into Saginaw Bay and how much those support the communities around the Saginaw Bay watershed, it's critical. It's a critical importance to all of our communities. And as you mentioned, shipping and some of these other things that the Saginaw River is used for, whether it's cooling water for some of our industries, it's important. There's no question about it.
So, Mike, as a follow-up, what's the current health of the Saginaw Bay in terms of the fish population, the walleye population, the bass population? And we'd kind of gone through that era, and you're going to be better on the years than I am, but let's say 30 years ago with the zebra mussels, and the zebra mussels came in. And what impact did the zebra mussels end up having to the Saginaw Bay? And just kind of what's the health of the bay today and the health of the fish population?
Yeah, I think you mentioned zebra mussels. Those were followed closely by another mussel called the quagga mussel, and those are both invasive species. They're not they're not something that was found in the Great Lakes, even 50 years ago. And one of the things that the mussels did is really increase the clarity of the water, which then led to additional algae growth and some of the other things that go along with the ability of sunlight to penetrate deeper into the water column. But overall, I think if you look at Saginaw Bay today versus Saginaw Bay 50 years ago, it's in a much better place from a water quality perspective. I think that we've done a lot of really good things, whether that's from the industrial side and agricultural side, or even the urbanized area side. I think we've done a lot of things to improve our land use and the runoff that goes to Saginaw Bay, and that's had a direct effect, I think, on the water quality. We have a long ways to go. There are still some legacy issues out in Saginaw Bay that we're going to be dealing with for a long time. But in terms of the fishery out there, one of the best fisheries in North America. There's no question about it. We last year we had 4 national bass tournaments come here, and Saginaw Bay has not always been known as a bass fishery. It's been a perch fishery. It's been a walleye fishery. Those have been the sexy species out there that people will travel to fish for. But last year and a couple years before that began to be on the map for bass. And we have a couple more bass tournaments coming back this summer. And each one of those tournaments brings about $500,000 or $1 million to our community. So those are a big deal. But just recreational fishing is certainly important. If you cross the Zilwaukee Bridge last weekend, or we'll cross it this weekend, looking up and down Saginaw River, you will see hundreds of ice fishing shanties.
I saw it last week. It was amazing. My son and I went down to MSU to watch a hockey game. and we're going over the bridge to start heading south, and it looked lined, Mike, from the Zilwaukee Bridge all the way through the Turning Basin, and then looking north to Bay City. It looked like there were shanties the whole way up and down. And I know, and earlier this week, I know Art had on Martin's Liga, the Airborne Angler was on. And, I've had on the show our good friends from Frank's Great Outdoors, and everyone's been dying for a good ice fishing season, and they finally have it. I think people will have this giant relief because it's such a massive industry. Heck, even the interim superintendent of Bay City Public Schools has been out on the bay with everybody else.
Absolutely.
So we're going to take another break. When we come back, I want to go back to those fishing tournaments and kind of what they've meant and what they're going to look like here in 2025.
Capocco Community Credit Union, helping friends and neighbors realize their financial goals and dreams for over 60 years. Helping a young person with their first car, meeting the needs of an expanding family. Capocco Community Credit Union has never forgotten their commitment to building the community. It's a people-first philosophy at Capocco Community Credit Union, Wilder Road in Bay City, at US 10 and Mackinac Road, and in Saginaw on Cabaret Trail just off McCarty Road. Not a member? Go to capocco.org and apply today. Member NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
It's Soaring Eagle Casino's 44th anniversary bingo bash with $320,000 in cash to be given away. The party starts Saturday, April 12th at 12 noon, and each player receives $50 in premium play and $25 in dining for day off. Tickets just $650 on sale now at etix.com. Guests who purchase a ticket will be eligible for a $99 room rate on 411 or 412. Saturday, April 12th at the Soaring Eagle Bingo Hall. So come on down for the fun.
Bingo!
Must be 18. Rules at SoaringEagleCasino.com.
O'Reilly.
Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free and provides a report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we can recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. All kinds of beers and thousands of wines. Guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Only at Total Wine and More. Drink responsibly. Be 21.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC now recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hey, I got you something.
What's this?
Just a little Galentine's gift from JTV.
Do you mean jewelry television? I love their jewelry. They have the
New customers get $25 off their first purchase of $75 or more. Visit jtv.com/romance.
Yeah, their artisan collections, gorgeous.
Are you going to open your gift?
Oh, yeah. It's the pearl bracelet.
New customers receive $25 off their first purchase of $75 or more. Visit jtv.com/romance.
Art Lewis here to invite you to join Alpha Media and Collect Vacations for a trip visiting the National Parks of America next September. You'll begin by flying from Detroit to Scottsdale, Arizona to begin this fabulous tour. You'll spend time in Sedona before arriving at the Grand Canyon and spend the night on the South Rim. Then it's on to Lake Powell, Marble Canyon, and Kanab before heading to Zion National Park. Next, you'll venture to Bryce Canyon to view the Hoodoos before driving to Salt Lake City. Following that, it's off to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and the Grand Tetons. Yellowstone National Park with its geysers and hot springs awaits your oohs and ahs before heading to Cody and the Buffalo Bill Center. Finally, visiting Crazy Horse Monument and Mount Rushmore in Rapid City before flying home. This 12-day spectacular includes 10 breakfasts and 6 dinners, plus transportation from Saginaw to Detroit Metro and return. For more information, request a brochure by email or U.S. mail by emailing artlewis@wsgw.com.
Good morning and welcome back to the Art Lewis Show. It's Matt Felan with the Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance, and I'm joined with Mike Kelly. Mike, we're 2 away from a quorum, and we could start a Bay City Public Schools meeting, but we'll try to avoid that, not bring 2 more in. I can see Jonathan there worried about being on the side of the lawsuit. What are you guys doing? How did you let a quorum happen on the air? That's not supposed to happen. I bring it up because, for listeners who may just be tuning in, Mike Kelly and I both serve on the Bay City Public Schools board together. And when I hear you talk about anything Saginaw Bay related, Watershed related, I just have to ask this question. I'm totally putting you on the spot. Yep. Do you go into our classes and present and teach our students at the middle and high school level on all things Saginaw Bay and the Watershed?
I don't want to glorify it as saying I teach them anything. Occasionally I'll go in and talk about some of the things that I know about, and hopefully I can impart a little bit of knowledge on them. One of the things that excites students that we're also involved in that we didn't talk about is a big program to reintroduce lake sturgeon to the area. And over the past, I think we started in 2017. So over the past 5 or 6 years, we've been able to plant about 7,000 young sturgeon into 4 rivers in the system. And we talk about going into classrooms. Kids love sturgeon because often we'll have a discussion and they'll say, gosh, they're like a dinosaur. And my response is always, yeah, they are a dinosaur, literally. I mean, these are fish that have been in the system for 150 million years and have barely changed biologically. The system, the Great Lakes is now at about 1% of its historical level, the amount of sturgeon in it because of overfishing and some other habitat issues that we've been able to take care of since then. And so this restoration project has been great. So when we do go into classrooms, that's often the subject that people want to hear about. And in fact, we have a couple of classroom sturgeon, one in Frankenmuth, another one in Saginaw, and then another one out at Chippewa Nature Center, so people can actually go see these. But they're a great educational tool to talk about fisheries and talk about habitat and kind of the history of what happens to fish if you're not careful with the environment. So, I mentioned that sturgeon have been around for 150 million years, but it's really only the past 200 years that they've run into trouble. So they've outlived the dinosaurs, but they've had a difficult time outliving what man has done to the resource. And so we're working hard to restore that.
You know what I love about both of our roles? We live in a community, and so we're actively engaged, but we have roles that, quite frankly, transcend any single school district. So your knowledge and passion behind this, I hope you're every school district across this region talking about the watershed and what it means. Although while you're talking, I had to look this up because I know I had seen it recently. It's Black Lake that always does their sturgeon season.
Right.
And I do believe you're allowed to catch 6 sturgeon on Black Lake per year. And the season lasts a different amount of time depending on how fast people catch them. So this year it was 17 minutes. And they got 7 sturgeon because, by the time the word had got out, a 7th was pulled out of there. In all your fishing, have you ever pulled a sturgeon out intentionally, unintentionally, just anywhere, period, or never?
No, never. So it's interesting. Up at Black Lake, they provide, there's a hatchery there, and the spearing season that goes on up there, actually, it's an interesting process. It helps to raise money to support the sturgeon restoration project. So some of the sturgeon that we are restoring down here are from that Black Lake hatchery. But interestingly enough, down here, because there are so few sturgeon, you can't target them. But you'll see on social media over the past couple of years, especially, people that are on the river, usually during the ice fishing season, so right about now, people are catching sturgeon. So they can't be targeted, they can't be kept, but it's exciting to see that the sturgeon that we are reintroducing to the system are thriving. They're doing well. The sturgeon that we planted back in 2017, those are about 40 inches long now. And these fish can grow to be 75 years old and grow to be 7 feet long and 200 pounds. But we're starting to see some of those 5 or 6 year old fish being caught now, and they look great. They're doing really well. I mentioned the documentary that we did about the Corian Reef. We're filming it right now, a documentary on the sturgeon restoration project too, which will be completed at the end of 2025. And it's been, I think, one of the greatest restoration projects in the history of Great Lakes restoration, and we're just thrilled to have that happening right here in the Saginaw Bay.
I'm not gonna lie, if I were on the river in a boat fishing and I had a sturgeon on the line, I would be in full panic mode of get this fish back in the water.
Right.
Don't hurt it. Let's get it off that hook as quickly and safely as possible, and let's get it right back in. Like, it wouldn't be fun or exhilarating to me. It would actually cause complete panic of, first of all, I'd be like, oh my goodness, what is on the end of my line?
Right.
And then when I realized that it's a dinosaur, I'd be like, it's gotta go. I'm not going to jail. We have to protect this fish.
Yeah, the beauty of it is, you can catch them, you can't target them, but obviously the Saginaw River and Saginaw Bay system, there's a buffet of fish there, and so you never know exactly what you're going to catch. But people that do pull the sturgeon out, I think we've done a good job educating them that they need to be immediately released. But you can take a picture of them, and we're glad to see people take pictures of them. The first sturgeon that was caught back in 2018 from the first planting, that was the first juvenile sturgeon caught in the Saginaw River system in 150 years. So it's a big deal to see these fish reappearing, whether people are seeing them in shallow water or whether they're appearing on somebody's fish hook. It's great to see that the project is working.
So, Mike, we have about 30 seconds left. Can you talk again about where you're going to be speaking next week and how folks can be there?
Yeah, February 15th, I'm going to be speaking to the Saginaw River Marine Historical Society, and that's going to be at Trinity Episcopal Church, which is on 815 Grant Street in Bay City at 6 p.m. We're going to talk all sorts of Saginaw Bay issues, but we'll be showing that Corian Reef documentary. So be glad to have everybody there, and I'm certainly excited and glad to have the Historical Society inviting me. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, fascinating work that you're doing. Great having you here today. I have a feeling I'll see you soon.
We will. We'll see it. We'll see you at the Bay City Public Schools Board building.
Thanks, Mike.
When it's time to choose a residual herbicide for your soybeans, you need broad-spectrum weed control that lasts. Zidua Pro and Zidua SC herbicides by BASF give your crop up to 2 more weeks of residual weed control, providing 50% more control than other Group 15 residuals. The long-lasting herbicide portfolio protects your soybeans from even the toughest weeds while providing a steady growing environment for the entire season. Talk to your retailer today about adding Zidua Pro and Zidua SC herbicides to your 2025 plan. Always read and follow label directions.
RocketGrabPlus.com.
This week, we have a fantastic deal just for you. This deal brought to you by PD's Dugout, located in the Fashion Square Mall. PD's Dugout is celebrating their grand opening with a deal for you. They're offering half off 1 hour in the batting cages. This deal, originally $40, can be yours for just $20. Don't delay. Come to PD's Dugout to have some fun today. Head to RocketGrabPlus.com to claim your deal.
RocketGrabPlus.com.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident that wasn't your fault, we have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-710-5220. So if you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, call now. Find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-710-5220 to speak with a live person now.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
That wraps up the first hour of the Art Lewis Show. Once again, it's Matt Felan with Great Lakes Bay Region Alliance. Want to thank Mike Kelly from the Conservation Fund for joining me. Up in the next hour, I'm going to be joined by our friends from ABC Michigan. But first, the news.
Broadcasting from the Stormmaster Exterior Studios, WSGW, Saginaw, Bay City, Midland, WSGW-FM, Carlton.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance. I'm Deborah Rodriguez. This is a big day for President Trump's efforts to downsize the U.S. government. About 2 million federal workers have until midnight to call it quits or face the prospect of getting fired. Correspondent Weijia Jiang is at the White House.
The administration expects about 200,000 federal workers to take that resignation offer. CBS News has learned that more than 40,000 employees already have, with the largest spike expected today.
Air traffic controllers are exempt from the administration's buyout offer. At this morning's National Prayer Breakfast at the Capitol, the president promised to work with Congress to adopt a new computerized air traffic control system after last week's deadly collision between a passenger plane and an Army helicopter.
But I think what is going to happen is we're all going to sit down and do a great computerized system for our control towers, brand new, not pieced together, obsolete.
Democratic lawmakers led an all-night protest session in the Senate over President Trump's nominee for budget director, California's Adam Schiff.
Russ Vogt believes in dismantling that government of the people, piece by piece, brick by brick, until what remains is a hollowed-out bureaucracy that serves the interests of the wealthy and abandons everyone else.
Vote helped construct a plan calling for drastic cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Drivers are gripping the wheel extra tight. Dicey conditions from the Midwest to New England.
A sheet of ice in the Metro Detroit area necessitated a lot of car scraping this morning.
I turned my defroster on, got out with my scraper, and it took me about 25 minutes.
Hundreds of salt trucks on major highways, I-75, I-94, but drivers supposed to be going 5 to 10 miles below the speed limit, but there were still some crazy drivers.
Well, of course, there are always crazy drivers. Nice days or cold or bad days.
And the advice this morning, just slow it down.
I'm not in a hurry to get to work. Never have been.
Charlie Langton for CBS News, Detroit.
A new strain of bird flu has been detected in milk from dairy cows in Nevada. CBS's Jerika Duncan.
Detecting this second strain in cows means the virus has jumped from birds to cows for a second time.
Jimmy Butler's tumultuous time with the Miami Heat is over. They've traded their disgruntled NBA star to Golden State for 3 players, including Andrew Wiggins. CBS Sports Miami's Mike Cugno says the Heat have to be relieved.
2 months, 3 suspensions deep into this. It was ugly. He was leaving practices. He was not showing up for planes.
Dow down 1. This is CBS News.
A riddle brought to you by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at progressive.com.
Retirement is more than a newly discovered free time. It's a time to reflect on how you will be remembered and your legacy. It's important to make proper arrangements now. Tune in to WSGW every Sunday at 8 a.m. to your Financial Empower Hour with Jason Kreiderman from Great Lakes Investment Advisors in Midland. Learn how to structure your retirement savings to increase the value of your estate and help leave the legacy you want. Plus, call Great Lakes Investment Advisors today, and they will include a complimentary Legacy Maximizer. 989-835-7203. That's 989-835-7203. This commercial shall in no way be construed as solicitation to sell securities or advisory services of any state other than Michigan or where otherwise permitted. Topics should be discussed with your individual advisor prior to implementation. Advisory services offered through Great Lakes Investment Advisors, a registered investment advisor in the state of Michigan.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Live From the 100.5 and 790 newsroom, this is WSGW News.
Mostly cloudy skies and 25 degrees at 10:05. Good morning. I'm Mike Percha. Police in Saginaw continue to search for two suspects in a Sunday shooting. Around 11:20 p.m., police were staking out a home presumed to be empty in the area of Burt and South 9th Streets. The house had recently been shot at, according to police. While observing the home, police say four males approached from South 7th Street, with all four producing handguns and opening fire at the house. There actually were three people inside, none of whom were injured. Three of the suspects then fled in a white Jeep, while the fourth took off on foot. That suspect has not been apprehended. Police gave chase to the Jeep and were able to arrest 17-year-old Devon Faniel and 25-year-old Brandon Williams. 25-year-old James Ayers evaded arrest and is considered armed and dangerous. Faniel and Williams are being held on a $500,000 bond. Faniel is being charged as an adult. They're both charged with assault with intent to murder, carrying a concealed weapon, resisting police, and felony firearm. Ayers is also charged with assault with intent to murder and felony firearm. No injuries were reported in a Fenton Township fire yesterday. Crews from multiple departments were dispatched to a house in the 15,000 block of Roberts Drive near Lake Eponema Marina around 11:35 a.m. The house was fully engulfed in flames when a crews arrived on the scene. 3 pets were rescued from the house, though a fourth could not be located. The house and a car near the home were both destroyed. The cause of the fire is under investigation. Governor Gretchen Whitmer has proposed a $1.8 billion budget for the Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity for the upcoming fiscal year. Christiana Malakar has this.
With $239.5 million from the state's general fund, the plan includes $40.4 million for pre-employment transition support for students with disabilities, with $19 million to expand registered apprenticeships. Another proposed investment includes $25 million for employee-assisted housing and $22.7 million for auto supply retooling grants. Additional funding is allowed for small business support, workforce training, and disaster recovery. The budget aims to address workforce needs in economic development and community support across the state. This is Christiana Malagata, News Radio 100.5 and 790.
WSGW News Time, 10:07.
Want to help your child shape their future? Join the Bay Aranac ISD Career Center for their open house on Thursday, February 13th from 4 till 7 p.m. Explore programs with hands-on training and speak with local labor organizations about apprenticeship opportunities for high school students. Students can uncover career opportunities they might never have considered, opening doors to pursue their passions in unexpected directions. Don't miss this chance to shape their future. Visit the Bay Aranac ISD Career Center Thursday, February 13th from 4 till 7 p.m.
Saturday night, February 15th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. It's George Thorogood and the Destroyers.
Bad to the bone.
The Bad All Over the World Tour. Tickets for George Thorogood start at $40 and are on sale now at the box office and online at etix.com. February 15th, witness the raw 6-string swagger of George Thorogood at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. More at SoaringEagleCasino.com.
WSGW News Time at 10:08. The weather forecast is coming up. Hundreds gathered at the Michigan Capitol yesterday protesting President Donald Trump's recent action. It was part of the 50-51 movement, meaning 50 protests, 50 states in one day. The group organized a nationwide demonstration. The protest was not about one topic, with many holding LGBTQ signs, American flags, and other signs saying defend democracy. Is it legal for you to buy squares for Super Bowl 59? Tony Ortiz has this.
The short answer is no. Technically, playing squares at work is illegal. However, because the money being bet is so low, usually $5 or $10 a square, local law enforcement usually looks the other way. In addition, if the squares pool involves people from other states, that's considered a violation of federal interstate gambling laws. Now, the reason it's illegal, squares are considered a lottery, which means the person operating the squares needs to have a license to run the game, which of course they generally don't. Now, usually the only time the police do get involved are when large amounts of money are wagered on squares, usually $5,000 or $10,000, and someone who loses gets angry and decides to file a complaint. At that point, the operator of the squares gets put on the hot seat, especially if that person kept the share of the entry fees. That's a violation of the Interstate Wire Act. of 1961. I'm Tony Ortiz for the Michigan News Network.
WSGW News Time, 1010. I'm Mike Percha.
Here's your WSGW weatherology forecast. We'll see cloudy skies here for today with a high into the mid-30s. Winds turn westerly and increase to around 20 to 25 miles per hour, gusting as high as 40. And then for tonight, partly cloudy skies develop with a low near 16. Friday, sunshine, high around 26 degrees. Then by Saturday, a chance for some snow, 1 to 2 inches possible to accumulate with cloudy skies, a high around 26. Sunday, partial sunshine, high around 27 degrees. Then by Monday, mostly sunny, we'll see a high of 28. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with the WSGW Weatherology Forecast. Currently, it's 25.
Now, the only local radio talk show offering you the chance to ask your questions and express your opinions. From around your block to around the world, The Art Lewis Show is on 100.5 and 790 WSGW and online, WSGW.com. The Art Lewis Show is presented by Westside Decorating Center.
Good morning and welcome back to the Art Lewis Show. It's Matt Felan with the Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance. Called in as emergency relief today. Art woke up feeling under the weather, so I was fortunate enough to have a schedule that allows me to be here with you today. Art, we hope you feel better. Jonathan and I were just chatting, though, about the latitude some people get in their jobs. And snow prediction is definitely one of those spots where you get a little latitude in what's expected. So, Jonathan, I know we're going to hear from Terry Henney later today, who's excited to talk about the Saturday snow. Today's storm went way south. We really didn't get a whole lot here, but a lot of talk Saturday. And so far, you know, Jennifer Wojcicki just told us 1 to 2 inches. Terry Henney may allude to something a little bit more powerful. And there even may be some bets on this of how much snow we get on Saturday. But my question for you, Jonathan, how do we get a job where we can predict anywhere from 0 snow to 2 feet 2 days out and still keep our job and still be like, oh, well, you know, good effort, Jonathan. This show may or may not have been in the air today. We don't know if you hit the right buttons and we're out there broadcasting the world. But you know what? What the heck? How do we get a job where we can be and have that much latitude, that much freedom?
So in high school, I had an economics teacher. Great teacher. One, you know how there are those few teachers that like, man, that teacher had an impact. And I remember him giving this speech in class talking about how you get a passing grade with 70%, but you get out into the workforce and you can't just do 70% of your job. That's not how this works. And he did like a whole speech on this one day. And I was walking out of class with my friend, and my friend leaned over and said, "What about a weather person?"
Like, especially like now it's hard for a weather person to screw up the temperature. Like, it's not like someone goes, you know what, it's going to be 24 degrees this weekend, and then suddenly it's 70.
Yeah,
that really doesn't happen, right? But when it comes to snowstorms, like, I always enjoy the memes that come out, like, welcome to Michigan, where you could get anywhere from 1 to 76 inches of snow this weekend, and nobody knows. So
it's all the water.
It's so funny. I can see the game starting for Saturday already. And I tell Terry Henney, and you guys are going to hear from Terry at his usual slot. We're going to hear from him in the 11 o'clock hour. Terry's actually over at SVSU today for the 3rd annual Michigan Sugar Beet Summit. So going to be great to hear from Terry. But Terry gets excited about these storms. He gets excited. I deem myself a weather weenie. I enjoy weather, and I like to look at all the prognosticators. This is how pathetic I am. I pay one like $1.99 a month on Patreon, or however we call that, to be part of his inner circle, to hear all the different cool forecasts ahead of everybody else, because I'm that big of a dork when it comes to the weather.
What a nerd.
Yeah,
Holy moly.
Between that and Star Wars, folks, I really am like a super dork. Like, yeah, you got to own it, right? That's just how it works. So, hey, we're going to get on with our second hour today, and I'm joined by my friends from ABC Greater Michigan. First of all, in studio, I have my good friend Cathy Geiger, the Director of Marketing Community Affairs. Good morning, Cathy.
Good morning.
And then we have a second day in a row, El Jefe, the President of ABC Greater Michigan, Angela Madarang, with us. Good morning, Angela.
Good morning, Matt. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it is great to have you guys here today. I always think it's great to start with a question for our listeners. I'm very familiar with ABC, and a lot of folks are. But at the same point, Angela, I think you've learned this through the years. A lot of companies and other folks use the ABC acronym, and sometimes, okay, which ABC is that? Would love for you to tell our listeners exactly who ABC Greater Michigan is.
Of course. Associated Builders and Contractors, we are the Greater Michigan chapter. There's 3 chapters in Michigan, but we believe in the merit shop philosophy, and we believe that regardless of race, color, creed, age, sex, national origin, that you should get ahead and succeed in your career based on your merit. Whether or not you're affiliated with a labor organization shouldn't matter. So that's what we push, and that's exactly what we believe in at ABC. We have over 23,000 members nationwide, and in Michigan, we represent over 85% of the construction industry are merit shop contractors.
Yeah, so Cathy, for you, you're working here in the region, and you have long been associated with ABC. What's the membership look like here in the Great Lakes Bay region, and what are some examples of some of the companies that your members work with?
Yeah, so we have an amazing group of members, including big contractors in Midland, Three Rivers Corporation, Saginaw Wall Gas Corporation. We have electricians like Windemuller and Blazy Electric. So they're located all across the region, and we love working with our members. They're down to earth, good-hearted people that I just love working with.
So, Angela, I'm going to ask you this question. One of the things I love when we talk about the skilled trades is really kind of what the culture is like coming through, especially K-12 and community colleges. And it seems like, Angela, for years, we kind of had this windshield wiper effect going on when we started talking to our students. It felt like, okay, we went through a period where our leaders were telling our kids, everyone's got to go to college and at least get a 4-year degree. And then we kind of swing the other way and go, wait a minute, college is not nearly as important and it's super expensive and you don't really need to do that to have a great career. Go into the trades. We kind of swing back and forth. Now, I have a different philosophy on this, which is, I don't know, we have to do both. I believe that we kind of have the type of economy, especially here in the state of Michigan and in the Great Lakes Bay region, where we have to have people that are actively engaged in the trades. But yeah, we also need folks who get 4-year degrees and beyond, and we need to do both. But my question for you, Angela, is this. Do you feel like we have hit a point where parents once again value the skilled trades, that they value that, if Jimmy Green and I talked about this in the past, that sometimes the language would be used wrong. Like we would say, well, if you're not really built for college or school's not your thing, you should go into the trades. But the reality is you could have the smartest kid in your school, the valedictorian, and if they're going into the trades, that's a giant win. Do you think we've gotten to the point where families around the kitchen table look at the trades just like they do a 4-year degree or a doctorate degree and really see that this is a great future, a great career, and a great pathway for their kids?
I do think that the culture is changing. I do remember I was the victim of that millennial era of, oh, you've got to go to college, and to be successful, you have to be a doctor or a lawyer. That is not the same mentality anymore. And I think a lot of that is because the private sector and the construction industry needs to attract, I think it's over 430,000 new people due to increasing demand. So the culture is changing because it has to. We need to recruit more individuals in the trades. And I think that partnerships like our Trades Academy, the Greater Michigan Construction Academy, our training partners do a great job at partnering with the local school districts, because I think they're finally seeing we really are at a loss of tradespeople, and we need to make sure that they get involved and they get educated. A lot of parents used to look at it as, oh, that's a dirty job. I don't want my kids working with their hands. Now they see that you have electricians and you have other tradespeople coming out of school with no debt, no student loan debt, and they're making really high-paying salaries. I mean, you come to Greater Michigan Construction Academy on one of the nights that some of the students are going to school. They work during the day and they go to school at night, and you'll see a bunch of brand new trucks outside. Let me tell you that. So they're doing very well for themselves, and I'm really hoping that with Build Like a Girl and a lot of the other partnerships that our Trades Academy has and what we do, and of course Build Like a Girl is one of the biggest, but to get women involved, but also all individuals involved. And you don't just have to go into craft labor. There are so many other ways to get into the construction industry. And like you said, if you want to go to college and you're great at that, fine. You can also become a project manager. You don't even have to go to college to do that. But there's a lot of different areas of the construction industry. You don't just have to be an electrician or a mason or a carpenter. And I think it's important to expose those options to students.
Well, I'll tell you what, Angela and Cathy, I'm really active in our schools, and I go and speak at different career classes and different things. And I'll ask the kids to go around and what do you want to do? And what do you want to study? And what's your plan after high school? And at least from what I've seen in the last decade, the last year when I was in, I would tell you about half of the men in the room. So I'm going to preface that because I think it's going to become an important part of our conversation this morning. Half of the men in the room all listed a trade. I want to go and be an electrical worker. I want to go and be a lot of welders. It was just really prevalent from the men in that room that the skilled trades was something that they wanted to do and that it was important. So I think we're making some progress, but we're going to take a break. And you started talking about this, and this is where we're going to go to this, is how do we start getting more girls and women involved in the trades? And we're going to talk about your Build Like a Girl program after these messages.
So you may ask, who are these people? These hundreds of thousands of people who've decided to do something different with how they pay for health care, and they join MediShare. It's a good question. MediShare members are people who realize they have a choice. They're not stuck with a status quo that they don't like. And we know this from research of MediShare members. They tend to have certain values in common, like their faith. They love that they're actually sharing with one another. They don't have to be part of a system that forces them to pay for things they don't support. They also value joining with other people who prioritize healthier lifestyles and encourage each other. They value customer service that's for them and their families, and they find that refreshing. And they're entrepreneurs, people who work in the gig economy, pastors, school teachers, business people who do clearly value saving money. That's a big part of this, up to $500 a month with MediShare. You too can do something different. You can start saving now. Here's the number. Call 877-26-BIBLE. That's 877-26-BIBLE. 877-26-BIBLE.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stocks open narrowly higher. Investors are waiting for the monthly employment report released tomorrow. The weekly update. New claims for unemployment benefits were up 11,000 last week to 219,000, a sign that layoffs remain subdued. Qualcomm shares down more than 4.5% after a mixed quarter. Honeywell, an industrial giant, is about to split into three businesses. Its earnings top forecast, but its outlook is cautious. The stock opened down 4%. Ford shares are down 4% as CEO Jim Farley says if the tariffs now on hold for Canada and Mexico actually are imposed, it'll have a huge impact on the auto industry. Amazon reports earnings after the Wall Street close. The stock is up nearly 1%. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola, invested in you.
The following heartwarming yet informative scene is brought to you by Trust and Will.
Son, your grandpa and I used to work on this car together, and when I'm gone, I want you to have it.
Wow. Thanks, Dad. Doesn't count. What you need is a will. Luckily, Trust and Will makes it easy. Designed by attorneys, but customized by you, you can easily create a state-specific, legally valid document that actually counts. Now, let's let the engine do the talking, am I right? Start your will at trustandwill.com. Use offer code COUNT for 10% off and make it count. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. For details, see trustandwill.com.
O'Reilly. Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free and provides a report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we can recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. The WSGW Morning Team.
The WSGW online poll for you. Tariffs. Saying it's my duty as president to ensure the safety of all. President Trump is using tariffs to hold Canada, Mexico, and China accountable for promises of halting illegal immigration and stopping poisonous fentanyl and other drugs from flowing into our country. At this time, there's a 30-day waiting period in place for Canada and Mexico, who've decided to boost efforts to bolster border security and drug trafficking. The tariffs against China took effect. China plans its own tariffs, but not immediately, though the U.S.-China tariff situation is fluid, so who knows what might be going on as you're hearing this. But the WSW online poll question for you: do you agree or disagree with President Trump using tariffs as leverage against Canada, Mexico, and China? Even though, as he said, Americans could feel some pain. Would you agree? Would you disagree? Or are you not sure? Head to WSGW.com to place your vote. Just scroll down the homepage to find the online poll box.
Your morning team, 5:30 to 9 on WSGW.
Good morning and welcome back to the Art Lewis Show. The Art Lewis Show is presented by Westside Decorating Center. Visit them at 5789 State Street in Saginaw or online at westsidedecoratingcenter.com. And I am sure that I will be in there again this year, as I'm not going to lie, folks. I got a little dog and I have too much carpet. And I think we need to go the hardwood floor route. And you know what? Our friends at Westside Decorating Center, I think, are going to get some wins on this because it's time to upgrade. It's time to make some changes. So I've been in there quite a bit over the course of last year. Their team does a great job. They pretty much have everything for your home in there. So when you have a chance, go see them at 5789 State Street. So Matt Felan with the Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance here this morning. And I'm joined by my friends from ABC Greater Michigan, their president, Angela Madarang, and Cathy Geiger, the director of marketing and community affairs. And before the last break, we were talking about how oftentimes, we'll see that young men want to go into the skilled trades. But I got to tell you guys a story, and I find this awesome. So my house has the traditional fireplace that's now like the gas fireplace, right? Today's day and age, the folks that are my age, we're not chopping wood and putting wood in there, right? All these new homes were built with really cool gas fireplaces, right? But I ran into a problem one night. We were just at home and you just smell gas. I'm like, man, this doesn't quite smell right. Something's wrong. So I had to call consumers and I had to send the emergency crew out. And they're like, yeah, you got a leak here in the fireplace and they're turning everything off. So you call your local heating and cooling company that you use, right? And I loved it. So I am always expecting, like 40, 50-year-old something, standard white male to come in. Hey, I'm Johnny. I'm here to fix, your whatever. You just get accustomed to that. And there was this lovely 20-something fashion model tech that walked in. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. This totally broke every stereotype I had of the technician that was coming in. I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like we're doing something right, that this is, what this looks like. So you guys, this is a goal of yours. You guys want to see more girls and women involved in the skilled trades. And you guys have an event and a program coming up. So Cathy, I'm going to turn it to you. Talk to me about the programming you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish.
Matt, first, I just want to say I love that story. I love that a woman came in, like you said, doesn't matter if she's a supermodel looking or not, just that a woman came in and was your person that day to fix your fireplace. So thanks for sharing that with us and everyone today. But yes, our Build Like a Girl program is set for February 19th. It will be held at the Great Hall in Midland. It starts at 5:30, ends at 8:30, and the event is focused on girls in grades 5 through 12 to educate them about all of the opportunities in the construction industry.
I love it. So parents are listening right now, grandparents are listening. Who can attend? How do they go? What does it cost? Because I know that more and more people feel the same way that we do, that these industries are for everyone. And there's so much money to be made and a great career. How can they sign up? What do they have to do?
Yep. It's a free event. They can go to our website, abcgmc.org. They'll see our events and networking tab. And under that is Build Like a Girl. You sign up and you sign up your girl, your daughter, granddaughter, whoever your niece, whoever you would like to attend with. They attend with their adult guardian, and they show up at 5:30, and they get this amazing swag bag full of fun items that were donated by different companies across the region. And Build Your Future, which is a national organization focused on building up careers in the industry. And again, it's free, and that's because of the amazing sponsors that we have and are helping us put on this event because they know the importance of getting girls involved in the industry.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, my good friend John Lynch in Three Rivers has been involved in this event for years. How long has this event been going on?
So this is our 4th year putting on the event, and it's just growing and evolving every year. We really listen to the feedback of our attendees and our booths to make it better and better every year.
So, Angela, I'm going to turn to you again. I have a question for you because you brought up the Greater Michigan Construction Academy earlier in the interview. So for these girls that come out, like let's say we have a great 8th or 9th grader that come out to build like a girl, and you've got them now. They're in hook, line, and sinker, and they're like, this is something I want to do. And they're like, okay, after high school, what do I do next? Where do I go for training? You guys offer great training there at Greater Michigan Construction Academy, a pathway to working for one of the local employers for a full-time career. For those, again, that are listening and they want to direct their kids into the trades, and this program really speaks to them, how do they get involved? How do they apply? How does that process go?
I would highly suggest that they go to gmcami.org and talk to Michelle or Stephanie in the Midland office. You can call their line as well and ask about taking a tour. Take a tour of the amazing facility that our training partners have. We have, they have a facility in Midland, in Lansing, and a partnership in Saginaw as well. And they offer 11 trades at the Midland location, and they'll get you set up. And I think it's really important to know that you don't have to know what trade you're going into. When you first start out in the Greater Michigan Construction Academy, you take a course called CORE, where you get a little bit of each trade, and you sort of figure out what you like or what you don't like. So it is important. Go to gmcami.org, call GMCA, or even call ABC and reach out to us, and we can get them connected to get them a tour of the academy.
Yeah. So as people are hearing this, do you run into any space limitations? Is the demand so high that, hey, you better move right now if you're going to have an opportunity? Or are we still at that spot where like, hey, we have a lot more room to grow and we have space, and we're encouraging everyone, please get over and get into our programs? Kind of what's the status there?
What's great about the Greater Michigan Construction Academy is the flexibility that they're offering with their curriculum. So they are an NCCER accredited program, and they're able to create different classes based around that program that is flexible for, I think, around 10 plus students. Sometimes they're able to start a trade like masonry. They offer masonry, but maybe there's not a lot of masonry students right now. However, if there's an overflow of electrical students, sometimes the overflow will go to the Saginaw location. So there's a lot of flexibility there. I wouldn't say that there's a wait list by any means, but they should call and check and see what it looks like, because it can change based on semesters. And it all depends also on if there is a teacher and a facilitator there to help teach the course. These instructors that teach the course, a lot of them are doing this. They're not doing it for the money. They're doing it because they really want to teach students. A lot of them work during the day and they teach class at night, similar to the students work during the day and teach at night. But they do have several students that necessarily aren't affiliated with an employer. But we do that as well. And I do want to say that I don't think it gets said enough. The Greater Michigan Construction Academy has a 100% placement rate with employers. Now, whether that student or employee keeps their job, that's up to them. But I mean, how many schools have a 100% placement rate? I can't list any besides GMCA. I don't know about you, Matt.
No, it is hard to find 100% placement rate anywhere. It's a phenomenal statistic. And I think what our listeners care about is, you're talking about jobs that are here at home. They're right here in the Great Lakes Bay region. They're right here in Michigan. And I think that's what parents often worry about or fret about is, hey, how do my kids, how can I try to get them to stay in the area? Are they going to just move away because we don't have the jobs for them? And it's one thing I always love about our skilled trades jobs, the jobs that you're training for GMCA, is that you're literally training people for jobs they're going to be able to have right here in our local community with local companies, and the ability to have a great life right here and not have that worry of, geez, we just don't have jobs here, or there's nothing for my kids to do and they're going to move away. I've always loved that component of it. So when you tell me 100% job placement and you're also talking about the fact that it's right here, I don't know if it gets any better, Angela.
No, absolutely. And I think it's important that the parents also hear that, an average hourly earning for individuals in construction is around $39 an hour, which is over $3 higher per hour than any other private industries. So, and those earnings are up 4.4% year after year. That was back in December of 2024. So it's important to know that this is a growing industry, and they're going to have a job and they're going to make good money. And I want parents to realize that there are options in the trades. And if your student wants to go in the trades and maybe college isn't right for them, they should support that. They should support exploring that decision.
Awesome. Well, Angela, great having you on today. We're going to come back. I'm going to have Cathy for one more segment and talk about other local programming to expect here this year.
Next generation heart treatments are here. At Covenant Healthcare, we're finding new ways to treat AFib, structural heart problems, and vascular disease. We're the most preferred and trusted health system for hearts, making us the cardiac leader. Learn more about our next generation of extraordinary cardiac care at CovenantHeart.com. Choose extraordinary. Choose Covenant Healthcare.
If you could buy a used car or truck with complete confidence, a used vehicle that's completely quality checked and road ready, think you'd be interested? You need to check out the great selection Wilson Ford Lincoln has to offer. Jim Wilson, how do you sell so many used vehicles?
For starters, we have cars, trucks, and utilities in every price and payment range, from basic transportation to late model luxury. Plus, we know price sells vehicles, and offering these vehicles are what some say are below wholesale value.
There's something for everyone here. Luxury cars like Lincoln and Mercedes, third row utilities like Explorer and Tahoe, lots of great cars, and payments as low as, can we say, $110 per month?
Even lower.
You have cars for as little as $99 per month?
We have something in every price and payment range. Plus, with Ford Motor Credit financing, it's never a problem.
They may save you a few thousand. They may only save you a few hundred, but you will pay less for fine used vehicles at Wilson Ford Lincoln, your savings store.
Say, hon, we should play the new Multiplier X games from the Michigan Lottery. On each ticket, there's a big X.
Why?
No, an X. There are 5 instants, and you can multiply your winnings up to 100 times, so all the tickets have an X.
Oh.
No, an X. Plus, there are top prizes up to $2 million and $195 million in total prizes.
Gee.
No, an X.
I see.
Here we go. Play the new Multiplier X games from the Michigan Lottery. They're exhilarating fun for everyone.
Okay.
Knowing your limits is always the best bet.
Let's get something straight. Here in Michigan, it's not soda, it's pop. It's not a chili dog, it's a Coney dog. And we don't go to a convenience store, we go to the party store to buy a new Michigan Money ticket.
The new $5 Michigan Money Fast Cash game is covered in Michigan-made prize symbols, apples, cherries, cars, and more.
Now that's what you call Great Lakes fun.
And Fast Cash jackpots can be won instantly at any time, right on the spot. Play new Michigan Money or any of the 12 great Fast Cash games only from the Michigan Lottery. Knowing your limits is always the best bet.
RocketGrabPlus.com.
Why pay full price when you can enjoy amazing deals instead? Right now, you can score epic deals like $200 toward any product or service at Attic Experts for just $100. Or for $10, get a gift certificate to Great Beginnings Winery before they close their doors in March. And get a gift voucher from Yogurt Yeti in the Cardinal View Plaza for only $10. Better hurry, these deals won't last forever. Visit RocketGrabPlus.com to see all our deals today.
RocketGrabPlus.com.
Now, a WSGW morning team memorable moment.
We were just talking about the 6-second rule, 6-second kiss rule.
Yeah.
We're talking about how some researchers have done that, suggesting that if you kiss your wife or your 6 seconds consecutively, those 6 seconds can help add to spark in your relationship. I got an email within the minutes after that from Larry in Saginaw. Larry says, Charlie, while the 6-second kiss rule might work for some, this is a 6-second rule for my wife and me. We listen to a song from Kiss for 6 seconds, and then we rule.
I've got to know what song it is.
Well, I got a suggestion for you because this is 6 seconds right here. There's your 6 seconds from Kiss.
There you go.
I think we rule.
Your morning team, 5:30 to 9 on WSGW. The WSGW studios and WSGW online are sponsored by Stormmaster Exteriors, your ultimate solution for windows, roofing, and exterior services.
Good morning and welcome back to the Art Lewis Show. It's Matt Felan with Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance. And now it's just me and my old friend Cathy Geiger here in studio. And so, Cathy, we got a chance to talk about the Greater Michigan Construction Academy. We got a chance to talk about Build Like a Girl. But we were just chatting. You guys have been in existence for 75 years. And you have a lot of other partnerships and offerings that you guys kind of have throughout the year. Can you talk about some of the things that you're doing here in our local community that folks should be aware of?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for asking. We host an event called the Great Lakes Bay Regional.
I already like the title. So
Right?
keep going. The title, you're on message. Keep going.
Great Lakes Bay Regional Fundraiser to benefit Make-A-Wish. We've been doing that for nearly 40 years now. And 100% of the proceeds go directly to Make-A-Wish Michigan. We sponsor a local child so that their wish can be granted. And this is our biggest charitable event that we do. That's no money goes to ABC. It's our one thing that we love to do and have been doing for a long time. We've raised over $600,000 over the past nearly 40 years. And we love the support that not only our members, but the citizens of the Great Lakes Bay region have come out to support it. And this year it's hosted at the Great Hall in Midland on April 25th. And we are doing an 80s theme.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's.
So I got to ask, 80s theme, you threw it out there. So we're going to go with this. Jonathan Dent's going to be there. He will be going as Rick Astley. But I would love to know, what are you going to be dressed as at the 80s theme? Have you thought about this yet? Like, what's your move?
Yeah. So last year I was Rainbow Bright, which was super hilarious. If you go to our Facebook page, you'll see me in a Rainbow Bright costume. My friend at...
Oh, Jonathan, let's get that up and onto the WSGW websites immediately and Facebook page. We're going to need to see Cathy is Rainbow Bright. The listeners demand it.
Yeah. But this year I'm going more low key, and I'll be wearing a hot pink outfit that's tulle and super fluffy. So I'm not going as a character this year, but I'm super excited. Everyone really gets into it. We were excited to see that last year. I would say 90% of the attendees were dressed in 80s attire. And it was so much fun to see all of their creativity and just get into the theme, and most importantly, help raise funds for Make-A-Wish Michigan.
I love it. This is my opportunity to come out in my Cobra Kai t-shirt.
Yes.
And support my love of the Karate Kid and all things 80s. Which, side note, we talked about this off air. Do you guys watch the Cobra Kai series that is on television currently on Netflix?
I have watched a few episodes.
Yes. Jonathan Dent, I got to work with you, man. This is Netflix.
There's no nostalgia there for me.
Yeah, no, we got to fix it. That it creates a modern day connection too. It is, you know what? One day you're just going to come over to the house and we're going to binge watch the Karate Kid movies and then get you into Cobra Kai. It's one of the great hidden gems that's out there. So for all of my friends that are listening out there that are in their 40s and 50s, I know you're listening. Yeah, Cobra Kai is awesome.
Yeah.
I love the 80s thing like that. Plus, I got to say, Make-A-Wish Foundation is one of those things that's so cool because you literally are making a dream come true. You get to send a kid generally on a trip somewhere. It seems like it is, or to meet someone or something amazing. And those kids are oftentimes in the most challenging times that anyone should ever be expected to endure. and to be able to fulfill that dream and that wish. That's amazing. So how do people sign up to support that event? What do they need to do?
They just can go to our website, abcgmc.org, and register. It's right under the events and networking tab, and sign up. There are sponsorship opportunities available, and we would love to have everybody in our region attend. So yeah, we're super excited about it.
I love it. So for our listeners out there, I peer pressured Cathy to come in the studio and join me in person so I could see her rather than doing by phone. And you know what? She was awesome. She was like, okay, send me the address. I'm going to be there. Great to see you today. Good luck with your events coming up. Build like a girl. It's going to be awesome. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you so much.
When you live in a great place, you just know it. That feeling, everyone doing their thing, finding joy. It's called community. And at Members First Credit Union, that's why we're here, to be part of the neighborhood, to build it up, to watch it grow. That's why we're big on financial education, supporting local schools and nonprofits, helping families into homes, and pitching in wherever we can. Because this place is our home too. And at Members First, we help create thriving communities for the joy of it. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
We're excited to announce the opening of Saginaw's newest ophthalmology clinic, My Vision. Dr. Milston has been serving the Saginaw community for over 5 years, previously with Anderson Eye Associates. Dr. Milston will now have her own office just down the road and is now accepting patients. My Vision provides premier eye care and surgical services and are here to help with anything from cataracts, diabetic eye care, glaucoma, and more. For additional info or to schedule an appointment, go to @mivision.com or call 989-321-2655.
We're proud to make Pioneer Sugar for you and your family. Proud to be found in your kitchen, the heart of your home. And it doesn't really matter what you make with Pioneer Sugar, whether it's with our granulated white, light brown, or soft confectioners. It's the memories you'll make using it that will matter the most. Pioneer Sugar, pure and all natural, made from sugar beets grown right here. What could be sweeter than that?
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
So you may ask, who are these people? These hundreds of thousands of people who've decided to do something different with how they pay for health care, and they join Medishare. It's a good question. Medishare members are people who realize they have a choice. They're not stuck with a status quo that they don't like. And we know this from research of Medishare members. They tend to have certain values in common, like their faith. They love that they're actually sharing with one another. They don't have to be part of a system that forces them to pay for things they don't support. They also value joining with other people who prioritize healthier lifestyles and encourage each other. They value customer service that's for them and their families, and they find that refreshing. And they're entrepreneurs, people who work in the gig economy, pastors, school teachers, business people who do clearly value saving money. That's a big part of this, up to $500 a month with Medishare. You too can do something different. You can start saving now. Here's the number. Call 877-26-BIBLE. That's 877-26-BIBLE, 877-26-BIBLE.
Hi, this is Joe, and this week on Generating Gratitude, we'll deal with loss. Loss of a spouse and loss of a job. Both are similar, but they're kind of different. See how on Generating Gratitude.
Generating Gratitude with Joe Volk, Sunday afternoons at 5 on WSGW, 100.5 FM and 790 AM, and online, WSGW.com.
Good morning. How was your sleep last night? Today's workers are asked to do more for less. So when you go to bed and spend 1/3 of your life there, you need quality sleep. Get it with a quality mattress from Sanitary Mattress. You can visit all the so-called sleep stores, or you can rest assured that your mattress is manufactured right here in the Great Lakes Bay region to your specifications. Your time in bed may be cut short by today's demanding world, but you can still get a quality good night's sleep on a Sanitary Mattress. They feature 1-hour window delivery of your mattress to your home. And if you have an RV or a boat, Sanitary Mattress will custom make a mattress for you. Can the box stores do that? Visit the Sanitary Mattress Factory and Showroom at 5343 Janes Road in Saginaw, just east of the Harry Brown Airport. Visit them online at sanitarymattress.com or call 989-753-1757. Sanitary Mattress, serving the Great Lakes Bay region since 1935. So good morning, everyone. It's Matt Felan with the Great Lakes Bay Region Alliance here on our last segment of the Art Lewis Show here this morning. Art's birthday was yesterday, and of all the things he got as a gift, he apparently got the crud, a little bit of a head cold, a little bit of an illness. So sorry that Art is out. And, Jonathan, just happy that when I woke up this morning, and of course I do what everybody does the moment they wake up, it's the first thing you do when you wake up?
You check the phone.
You check your phone, right?
I didn't this morning. I was proud
Really?
of myself. I made it to breakfast before I turned on my phone.
So I'm not going to lie. The first thing I do is look on the bed to go, where's the dog? And I generally give the dog a tiny bit of love first. Again, I'm a dork. It turns out, I know you do the same thing with the cat, right? You give your cat a quick pet of the cats to start your day.
They know the sound of my alarm and they're scratching outside I don't let them in the room while I'm asleep because they'll wake me up.
Oh,
they know the sound of my alarm and they want to be let in immediately. So.
Yeah, at one point in the middle of every night, I get the obligatory lick of the forehead, which means I got to go to the bathroom. So I always am up like at least one time at night to take the dog out. But yeah, I'm like the person like, oh, we'll put the dog in the crate and he'll sleep there. And yeah, it didn't last long. The dog generally sleeps right on the bed. I've become that person. So no, I looked at my phone this morning and had a message that they needed me to come in, and thankfully the schedule allowed for it. And since I was here yesterday, I just feel like we're in rhythm. But while we have this last segment, I want to talk a little bit more about Great Lakes Bay that's starting on Saturday, and we're so excited about it. I think a lot of you have gotten used to me kind of filling in regularly for Art. I have to tell you guys, for the listeners, you really flatter me. I'm not going to lie. When I'm out and about, folks oftentimes will grab me and say, hey, we really enjoy when you're on the air with Art. And you guys have been really kind and welcoming me, because when you fill in for Art, I got to tell you, it's a blast. But at the same point, I always feel like this heavy responsibility. Art's been doing a phenomenal show serving this area for 50 some years. And you're like, wow, I want to make sure that I go and that we do a phenomenal show for Art. But when we do the Art Lewis Show, it's the Art Lewis Show. So when I do this, folks, I do it just like Art would. And trust me, I'm no Art Lewis, but I do my best to make sure that the show is done in his image. But with Great Lakes Bay, it's kind of our unique opportunity to start our own programming here on WSGW and Alpha Media, where we get to tell the different stories of the Great Lakes Bay region. So giving you guys more of a preview of the year ahead, we are so thankful that Alpha Media is going to include us in kind of the lineup of local programming with Larry and Kareem and Christiana and Joe. It's great to join that. I joke, Art is just a powerhouse worker. So when he's here, sometimes he can go 2 to 3 months, folks, and you know it. He's here day in, day out, and he's taking your calls, and he has great guests. And so we're only on periodically. And so the ability now, Jonathan, to be able to program 52 straight weeks and have different content, different guests, and it is us kind of taking what Hay Bay City started, which is phenomenal, to tell those stories. At the end of the day, why are we doing it? We're doing it because we want to grow this region. We want this to be a growing, prosperous region built by jobs, built by maintaining our college students, built by welcoming new Americans. We want to grow like other areas across the country. And we can't grow if people don't know who we are and they don't know our story, right?
Yeah.
Like, this becomes important. So for, if you may be curious, what are these programs going to be like? Number one, it's going to be unique. It's not just a replay of the Art Lewis Show. We're going to kind of tell a lot of personal stories and how they interact then with the things that make our region truly great and grow. So we're going to tell personal stories from people that work in manufacturing or in agriculture, in higher education, or getting people to understand that we're home to world-class healthcare. So much that we can do, Jonathan.
What I'm interested to hear as this goes along is hearing from people who aren't native to the Great Lakes Bay region and hear what brought them here. Why did they come to the Great Lakes Bay region, and what are they doing now that they're here?
And the other cool story on that, you also have people like me that grew up here. And folks, I'm part of this group. I turned 18, and my son's in the exact same spot right now. I can see it in his eyes. I was getting the heck out of Dodge, and I was never coming back. I needed to go see the world, explore the world, etc. But one of the reasons that we think we can help grow this region, Jonathan, is those people that have left. It's great. Not everyone has to stay here. You want people to go and experience and do things. But once my wife and I had kids and we had to raise them, we're like, holy cow, where are we going to do that? And we laughed. We kind of had that mutual epiphany. We're moving to Bay City. And so that's also a story, because, Jonathan, when I left, I was 18. And when I moved back, I was 36. And a lot had changed.
Yeah.
And a lot had stayed the same. And I've been back for 15 years. And I'm not going to lie. For right or wrong, I still kind of feel like I'm new in town. And that's from someone who grew up here. So lots of great stories. But I think Jonathan and I, what we're going to try to do, Jonathan's helping produce behind the scenes with Tara on the Alliance team, is we want to tell dynamic stories of people. And we'll kind of weave then how those stories relate. So tune in this Saturday, 9 a.m. and Sunday at 4 p.m. on 100.5 and 790 a.m. WSGW.
And online at all of WSGW's podcasting platforms beginning on Monday. We'll be right back to close out.
The Sawmill Pub and Grill is open again. We've been busy updating our look and are excited for you to see it. Our winter hours are Wednesday through Sunday, 11:30 to 8, and open later on Fridays and Saturdays. Don't forget our famous Fish Fry Fridays. We also have lunch specials every day from 11:30 until 3. And happy hour specials from 2 to 4 and 7 to close. The Sawmill Pub and Grill, located at 19 Sawmill Boulevard. See you at the Sawmill.
Taxes was feeling so stuck. Sitting in traffic, squeezing into a parking spot, all to squeeze in getting tax help during your lunch break. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert who does your taxes for you, while you go about your day getting real-time notifications about their progress and the most money back guaranteed. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile apps. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
1 in 4 Americans today are living with a disability. I'm one of them. I care deeply about creating a world we can all fully participate in, free from stigma, misperceptions, and barriers. And we've got a trusted ally on our side, an organization we can rely on. Easter Seals. Rooted in communities nationwide, Easter Seals helps empower millions of people, regardless of age or disability, through its life-changing services and powerful advocacy. Today and every day, Easter Seals is leading the way to full equity, inclusion, and access to healthcare, employment, and education for people with disabilities, families, and communities. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours. Learn more and get involved at easterseals.com.
The Ramsey Show.
My wife and I recently got on the budget. We have $370,000 of debt
all student loans. So I'm a doctor. I am in residency. I have 2 more years left.
The thing you have to avoid then is getting what we call doc-itis. You go buy a new BMW to prove that you're a new MD instead of paying off your freaking student loans.
No, I've heard of that disease and I studied it.
Yeah.
The Ramsey Show, weeknights at 9 on WSGW.
That wraps up this edition of the Art Lewis Show. Want to thank our friends from ABC. Up next is Focus, but first the news.
Broadcasting from the Stormmaster Exterior Studios, WSGW, Saginaw, Bay City, Midland, WSGW-FM, Carlton.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Steve K.